The good news is Michael Misa made his Sharks NHL debut. Good news is they didn't tease us with an overtime loss. This one's a struggle bus, and we will break this one down right now here on Teal Town After Dark. Please, please make it stop. Good evening, everyone. It is October 14th, 2025. The Sharks can't even say a heartbreaker. Lose 5-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Welcome to this edition of Teal Town After Dark, your live interactive Sharks postgame. If you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world in Sharks territory on the YouTube page or the app. Follow us on the social. Find everything at tealtownusa.com. And if you want to support the pod, please do so by hitting us up on Venmo at tealtownusa. And I will say hello to Mr. Tyler. What's up, bud? Oh boy.
Just the painful groan.
I mean, they looked decent in the first period. They looked decent in the first period where they were skating with them. They were staying with them. A lot of things happened after the Carrier goal to make it 2-1.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can say for the Sharks, a whole lot of nothing happened after that Carrier goal to make it 2-1. We'll get into that. But first off, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. I'm sure to the dismay of many people, I am, broadcasting here from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm. Yes, you're at the pulse of the Carolina Hurricanes. No.
Yes, I am.
Just kind of quickly going through the chat here. Hank Vesuvius. Well, they played 8 good minutes in the second. That's all, folks. I mean, I would give them credit for the first period as well. They'll. William Vogel saying, for what it's worth, I was right after game 1. I said the Sharks will be 0-4, and I was rated by the honor person. Yeah, well, because we thought there was after the first 2 games, you saw that they had the potential and the desire to make things different than it was last year. Tonight kind of set that back a little bit for sure. Big Bird saying, out hustled, outplayed, no special teams, no goaltending, wasn't even entertaining. Boo, and
I mean, Carolina Hurricane hockey to a T. If you're the opposing team, it normally comes off as very dull because they are systematic in their defense, and it showed in this game.
Yeah, it was a big one indeed. It just stinks because Michael Misa makes his debut. It'll be the second game for Sam Dickinson. No one else was getting swapped out. Warsaw was trying some different defensive pairings. He tried different lines at times. And Matt Grassi kind of worrying about Dickinson. Say goodbye to Dickinson. Warsaw's probably going to murder him. I would hope not. Although I'll be honest, Dickinson did have a tough time tonight.
This was definitely the weaker of the 2 games for Dickinson, but I mean, there wasn't a lot. I think he had his hand in one of the goals. Being out of position, I think it was a giveaway in the defensive zone led to one of the goals. I'd have to double check on that one. But yeah, his play wasn't anything spectacular today, but far from, I think, the core issues with the Sharks. I definitely still prefer his game over some of the other in the D-core.
Yeah. It's just frustrating because you you see the effort of the first two games, and they're looking sharp, and then getting smoked is just the last thing this team needed, especially on a 3-game homestand. It's and not to put the Bay Area optics out there for it or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Niners are struggling. Giant season's done. Warriors start next week. This is your chance to shine, to entice people, and you get 2 out of a possible 6 points, and showing, unfortunately, not a whole lot of difference in the overall stat line.
Yeah.
Wins and losses on there to make a dent.
And I feel like the end of the day stats really disregard a lot of the potential that the Sharks have shown in these first 3 games. I know this one was definitely I think bringing us back to a bit of reality opposed to the other 2 games. But yeah, getting 2 points out of a possible 6 is painful, and we were hoping for a much better start, and to a certain extent, I think we deserved a better start for the season. And
Yeah.
it's hard to see that be our final stat for the first 3 home games.
Right. And it's tough because there were a lot of penalties early on that set up definitely a lot of power plays for the Sharks. You had Miller going in, slashing on Celebrini. That was like a half minute in. You had Gossesper, who also took another slashing call on Skinner. You had Carrier, who took a boarding call against Ferraro, which looked rough, but Ferraro, as always, stayed in the game. But they go 0 for 3 on the power play. And mind you, Tyler, this was a team that was number 4. And granted, yes, it's a small sample size. They very played a week, but had looked pretty decent on the power play coming into tonight. And Carolina's PK, I think they were the best PK in the league last year, just shut them down early on and killed any kind of momentum.
Yeah. For better or for worse, I think this game was always going to be the wake-up call for whatever we were going to have at the beginning of this season. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of sports betting things and whatever saying that Carolina is one of the, if not the top team for the Cup this year, and they've always been a defensive stalwart, and they were going to test that fantastic special teams play that was starting this year. Yeah, I mean, they really strangled our power play today. I can't think of too many. Did we get a scoring chance on the power play? I know we got like 1 or 2 shots, but I can't think of any scoring chances that we got on the power play.
There were shots. They probably just did not. Were they high quality? I mean, that remains to be seen. There were some, but nothing seemed dangerous for rookie Brandon Bussey, who made his NHL debut tonight, and
real journeyman. I'm not gonna say anything that I'm not happy for him. First game in the NHL, he gets his win. Congrats, but it's not what we want.
Yeah, it's.
And before we get too far, we do have 2 super chats that have.
I'm just going through the chat here, guys. You guys are I'm loving it. Thank you for your participation as always. Let me get to these super chats here. Thank you very much on there. I will get back to you guys in a sec. Let me go with first one, William Vogel, $5 super chat. Of course, if you're unaware, super chats do go help support the show. They'll help us do a lot of things, and honestly, there might be merch coming from it. So be on the lookout for that very soon. William Vogel, after VGK, the gut punch effed with them. They played bad against Anaheim and Carolina, but there were some good signs. Carolina is as old as the Sharks were in 2019. Yeah, and that's without Brett Burns. So,
yeah.
There's that. So thankfully, thank you for that. Appreciate you William on there. I know we're getting some of the comments coming in from the locker room now. AJ's on that right now, so we'll get to that. And I'm looking for the other super chat. Oh, Maggot of Slip, $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Maggot of Slipknot with this was a playoff bound team, and Ian said it best on Sunday. Carolina is going to be a struggle, and with that, Warsaw said Warsaw needs to be extra mad at the right guys. The vets should play a team like this and fumbled. It's gonna be tough to put it just on the vets because I know Dickinson was out there and he had a rough go. Misa got some chances in. I mean, we'll talk about that. What did you think of Michael Misa in his debut overall?
I don't think there was much to really show off his talents today. Like you said, there was a couple of chances earlier on, but I mean, I didn't see him shining much in the defensive game, and unfortunately, there was a lot of that today.
Yeah, and it's tough because you see, do you want Dickinson to lose his confidence up here celebrating 17 SJ? He's not going back. He at least gets his 9 games. He's going to get every chance to stick. Going back to London is a waste of a year development wise, and that's the tough part. I think the Sharks were hoping that AHL rule would kick in, because that would be probably helpful for them. But now it's either you do your 9 or you stay up for the whole season, you burn an ELC, or you go back to London where you're just going to dominate because it just is so almost like a wasted year.
Yeah.
And it's tough to say.
I think we're going to try to, or not even try. I think we got to expect a development curve like we had with Smith last year. Yeah, he's not going to be the strongest player on the rink this year. He never was expected to be the strongest player on the rink this year, and I think we're really kind of making a mountain out of a molehill because, well, with our defensive struggles, we kind of need him to be.
Right. And it's going to be one that where you're just going to have to bite. Will Smith, it took him till Halloween to get his first NHL goal. He didn't get really going until after January, where he got in and just started going off. So we'll see how it goes there. Looking at some of the comments in the chat, the big issue is the Sharks don't know what to do when Celebrini is double teamed, and that was another thing I saw too tonight, Tyler, is that teams are now going to focus on Celebrini, the playmaker, and he definitely has talented players with him to help out, but he needs the support because otherwise he's just going to get stalled, and that's going to be a struggle for not just him but the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, especially against teams like Carolina that are going to be defensive focused, we're going to have to figure out ways to get offense from more than just our top line. Yep. And I know that in the previous few games, we've been getting a lot of offense from our second line, with Eklund being on the second line and being the primary goal scorer there, but he was on the top line today, and I think there was a certain amount of that may have just been the wrong decision because of who we were playing.
Well, and maybe it's also the fact of, some of the lines were, if you look at all the analytics of it all, we're not looking pretty. So I get why Warsaw would try things out or try something that's previously worked. Granted, you do not want to get the whole, and this is a throwback to the PDB line blender of years gone by, where we just try to throw things out and see if anything sticks. But
yeah, I think it was pretty clear that there was some adjustments needed with some lines, but I agree. I don't want there to just be, a Scrabble board of just shaking up and seeing where everybody lines up each game. We're going to have to establish some lines, and, some people might go up and down occasionally. I wouldn't be surprised if Misa jumps between the second and third line multiple times. But Unfortunately, I think some of the line pairs, especially on the defensive side, also just didn't work today. I know we broke up Letty and Klingberg. Klingberg was playing with Dickinson, and I believe Letty was he with Liljegren or was he with
I want to say Orlov, but I would be.
Orlov?
I am not going to quote myself on that.
But either
Um,
way,
yes.
I know that we broke up the defensive pairs from the last game, but I think it's fair to say that they didn't work today either.
You're looking at some of the things that are coming out of here. Celebrating 17 SJ saying you scratch graph from Misa and not Goodrow's stupidity from Warsofsky. Logan Teal, you can't just play Dickinson every other game and give him 12 minutes, and when he does play at that point, you might as well send him back to London. And Patrick, going. It's not even a pairing thing. Dickinson flat out isn't getting played as much as any other D-man on the team. And we can look at that right now. If you look at the box score for the Sharks and looking at the pairings, we heard that, Warsofsky really liked his game and was wanting to get it out there. But unfortunately, the same thing happened. Just a shade under 12 minutes in there. And struggled, even had a double minor penalty, which I wasn't really a big
That
fan
was
of.
such a bad call.
But I think at the same time there were calls that the refs could have called, but I mean they've called 3 early on for the Sharks. And at those times, and this is another cliche, but you gotta bury those chances to really get your opponent on their edge to avoid taking a penalty call.
Or just even if you don't capitalize on them, you need something to change the momentum of the game, because that second half of the game there was no momentum on the Sharks' end.
Yeah, Rob Ivan with the super chat saying realistically, Misa's choices are NHL or Europe. Europe's already started, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a realistic option. I get where you're coming from, but I just can't see it. I think it's going to either be Ride or OHL.
Yeah, I'm not sure how OHL contracts work with European leagues. That's just something I'm not familiar with.
So, I mean, I get it. I mean, that's where Austin Matthews was one of those guys who were kind of in between for a draft. So he played a year overseas as opposed to doing more over on the North American side to get the pro game going. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we're seeing a lot with Dickinson, and I mean Misa. We have one game of knowledge with. I'm not going to draw too much of a conclusion off of one game. Same with Dickinson's first game. I mean, we're going to have to see more. This was going to be their toughest team at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Them in Vegas.
Yeah, and we did fairly well against Vegas.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned to you before the podcast that I'm starting to see a bit of a trend with our defense. Is we actually do really, really well against established offensive pressure. When they're in the zone, they're established in their positions. We do really well at denying chances then, but we've really been struggling primarily with rush chances. 3 of the goals in this game were rush chances. And the 2 that went in when they weren't were both really weird goals that if you want to put it on Ned, fine. One of those probably could. The other, it was a good front presence that I don't think he ever saw the shot. But when 3 of your 5 chances are because we're struggling to get back and struggling to get into position, I think that says more about our defense than the actual score itself.
Yeah. Jerry F with the super chat. Thank you very much as always. Thanks for the great coverage. I'm back home and watched the game with my son William. While the game was underwhelming, we are now enjoying Teal Town. Jerry, thanks very much. But yeah. Chris Edwards, kind of alluding to what you're saying here, Tyler. Chris Edwards saying that the team doesn't skate, Carolina skates, Vegas skates, Sharks coast and watch plays develop instead of developing their own play. This isn't a one or two player issue. And that's a big thing too about rushes. When you get flat-footed or you're slowly going up against the ice, or it's been a long shift that you try to get some offensive pressure. So it's just not. It just
Yeah. The best example I had was the Gossespierre goal. Third period, we already weren't applying pressure, and then we were in the offensive zone. Puck gets rimmed around the boards, and it gets to, I think it was like Taylor Hall or something on the boards. And we had Klingberg bite, and
yeah.
Hall was able to clear it. And the problem is, we have a lot of players that, whether it's through age or just not trying, I don't know. I'm not going to say which it is. Ty Dellandrea, and I'm forgetting who was the other defenseman. I mean, if it's Klingberg, it was probably
Klingberg, but yeah.
But the player, I believe, was Stankoven, then got the puck off the boards, and Ty Dellandrea was trying to get to the puck and was just always a step behind. And then without Klingberg, we had the third man in who eventually scored the goal, which was Gossespierre, and the next closest player was Michael Misa, who started that play from all the way behind the net. That's not his guy.
No. No, it's yeah. Yeah. So to continue recap, let's show the good part of the night, I guess we'll say. And that would be the this play by the Sharks for their only goal. I want to give credit for Letty for the nice little stick back check that went right to Toffoli, and then Eklund with the shot that goes 5-hole on Bussy. I mean, I'll give him credit for that. I mean, a nice goal. Eki, I hate to say that Eki is the forgotten prospect a little bit. I know he's been around a bit, so
I've always loved Eklund's game. I mean, he's a very strong all around player. He's, I think, an ideal winger for a player like Misa in the future. I would love to keep him for as long as possible.
Yeah. So there's that. Here's the thing, and AJ running the quotes here, and we'll get to those quotes in a second. I guess NBC did not do Warsaw's post-game presser. I'm curious on that, and I'm waiting to see if any of the beat writers are going to come out with anything. We'll see what's going on there. But to kind of get back to that, the Eklund goal made it 1-1 after Sean Walker made it 1-0 for Carolina, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. And after two periods, it was 33-17, and alone 19 shots for the Hurricanes in the second period. You can even go back to the opening period where the Sharks had 3 power plays, Tyler, and we're still getting outshot 14-8.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, I will say one thing about this. If it hasn't already been clear, I do watch a lot of Carolina hockey. It's now my local team, so I do watch them quite a bit. Part of Carolina's game is they just take shots. They take a lot of shots, and I think certainly the first period, it actually showed a lot of progress that the Sharks were able to clear the crease, which I know was a massive issue in our last game, is clearing any pucks that were left out in front of the crease. And we did a lot better of that in this game because that is one of Carolina's strengths, is getting out in front of the net and getting shots off rebounds. But that being said, you're absolutely right. They're able to produce offense. Doesn't matter where it comes from. You got to get those shots on net, because if you get shots on net, you get chances.
Yeah.
The less shots, the less chances you get.
Yes. And with 5:48 to go in the second period, William Carrier, former Golden Knight, scored to make it 2-1. Following that, the Sharks did not have only had one shot on goal the rest of the game.
Yep.
You cannot have that happen. I'm
No.
sorry. I mean, and I know earlier, Pat, you were mentioning it, to have just no shots on goal in the third period, and then the meltdown continues there, where it was 3-1 after two periods, and then you just kept going. I mean, yeah, just an absolute pain in the butt, and not even that. That's just dominance by the Carolina Hurricanes, which they've known to be over their tenure with
Rod Brindamore, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'll go back to the David Ayers game, where that could have been absolutely.
Oh, that could have been the end of that game for them. They are against one of the strongest offensive teams in the league, and they have a emergency backup goalie. That's a really bad position to be in.
Yeah, and I think they only had 6 shots on goal the rest of the game after I think they let in the first 2 of it. And it's just it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. So, so so to finish it all up, the third period, Gostisbehere, after Eric Robinson makes it 3-1 with about a minute and a half to go in the second. Then Carolina comes back to make it 4-1. Shane Gostisbehere with the goal there. That kind of put away any chance, I think, coming back. And then Jackson Blake would score about roughly 6 minutes later to make it 5-1.
That was a really weird goal.
But I think I'm just looking at that. I just think that it's frustrating to see, and then you see Warsaw call a timeout and just rip the guys on the bench, and there's a little bit of he's like, oh, okay, this should have happened, in the locker room when you're down 3-1, and you didn't do anything big to change it up in the third period. There wasn't much, and to go 0 for shots. I mean, an absolute great job by the Carolina Hurricanes. Their defense, their defensive play, for that matter, just. And it sucks because Doug Armstrong, GM of Team Canada, is looking at Celebrini tonight in the press box, and it's like this is his chance. And while he had some moments, obviously being a part of the scoring sheet or part of the play would have been helpful for his case to go to Milan in February, but that's a tough one.
Yeah. I know Warsaw's absolutely getting a lot of flack right now, and probably a lot of it is deservedly so. But I still maintain a lot of the issues aren't necessarily on him. Again, we have issues on our defense that I think, I agree. I want Mook Madulin more in, but the fact of the matter is we still have to work on our defense. And Warsaw can't change the fact if players aren't getting back. That is on the players. And there was a lot of not back checking that I was seeing in this game. So what happens with the defense, I do not know. I've been seeing a lot of improvements on the offensive aspects of the game, but there's still a lot of questions on the defense for this team.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. A lot of them are most likely not coming back next season. And I know it's trying to be prepping for the likes of Quignoni and Eric Polkamp that are on the case. But the thing is that, that we have these guys here that, are supposed to be to stabilize it, not hinder it. There have been some plays. Let's be honest. Like as we mentioned on the Eklund goal, it was a great poke check to break up from Nick Leddy. You counter that with Klingberg just stumbling around, Klingberg getting beaten a lot. You know, and it's just a tough part to look at, and you wonder what's going to take for McMillan to get back in the game. He had 2 assists opening night. He did have little rough spots in his game for it. Plus, he took a couple of penalties that opening game against Vegas, the only one he got in. We'll see if he gets a chance on Friday night against Utah. I would think there'd be something going on there, maybe a night off, especially a back-to-back situation where you're at Utah on Friday. You are home to Pittsburgh on Saturday before you start your big East Coast road trip. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there is. I think the biggest thing I want to see going forward is, I know we've heard a lot of talk about players earning their spots.
right.
And I think it's got to be a lot more of the action of doing that. Okay, if you want players to earn their spots, you got to look at the players. And I don't care if they're a vet or not. Mukmadulin was not the worst player in the first game, yet he has not played since the first game. And I think there's players that you could bench a lot easier than you could Mukmadulin. I do agree that for one thing, Mukmadulin needs to be playing.
Yeah.
Until he is the worst player on the rink, have him in.
Yeah. I concur. I concur. Billy McGuire, I don't think he skipped it. The broadcast did not air it. So let's look at some of the quotes that are coming out of the locker room. Again, we don't have anything from Warsofsky. Pat, I also got to mention this. They can learn by getting a shot in a single period. Yeah, I completely concur. But from pseudo captain Tyler Toffoli, because I'm gonna still call him a captain even though they have him wearing an A. From Toffoli, they're a good team. We had good looks in the first, but after that they outworked us and we couldn't battle back. They put pressure on us and we didn't win the low battles. He continue on to say, I thought we should have had 4 power play goals tonight. We really had good looks. They put a lot of pressure, but we blew some really good looks. Okay.
I think he might be laying it on a little bit thick there. I don't think I saw 4 power play goal opportunities, but he's not going to say that.
No. Continue on with Toffoli. I think we understand the style we need to play to be successful, and we didn't do that tonight. Warsaw says we need to work harder.
Again, there's a lot that we can't see is happening behind the scenes. I know that of what we have been seeing, Warsaw is not happy with the work ethic that he's been seeing out of the Sharks.
Well, and Toffoli continues on with it's only game 3, so hopefully we can get better. Yeah, we can only hope. Eki got his turn on the mic saying we weren't good enough today. It was simple as that. Well, way to be frank and simple and honest.
Yeah, I mean, yep.
Eklund continue on. We just weren't good enough. Battles, puck play. Our line has to be way better. Create offense. Be better on D. We'll come back tomorrow and clean it up. We created good chances and should have scored on the power play and buried it. That's on us. So glad they're kind of taking some fault, I guess you can say, in that sense. It's a game of inches, and we got outworked today. We weren't good enough today. Yeah, I mean, this was probably the worst time for it, indeed. But AJ bringing up some stats as well. October 11th, 2014 was the last time the Sharks did not get a shot on goal in the third. So we're going back nearly
11
Just
years?
yeah, 11 years and 3 days. All right, to the last
Almost,
time there.
almost to the day.
Yeah. So AJ, appreciate you getting us those as always. We appreciate that.
So I do have the question because, again, I mentioned it early on. There was a couple of goals that were not the best from Nedeljkovic. But how did you feel about his game, considering this was his bounce back from what happened against the Knights?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up for a second.
Oh, did I break up? Sorry. How
Or at
did you
least on
feel
my end.
about Nedeljkovic's game since this was his bounce back from the Golden Knights game?
I think, like, again, with everybody else tonight, I thought they looked good early on, and it just kind of fell apart later on with that. It just seemed like it was just they couldn't bury those power plays, and I think if you gotten at least one of them, one, you're in the lead again, and two, you're kind of getting pressure on Carolina to do more. But I think after that, and yes, the Eklund goal I think kind of stymied things a little bit, but this team again, I think definitely wears their heart on their sleeve. Pardon that cliche,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely after the 2-1 goal, it's obvious that they just flat out fell apart, and one thing led to another. You credit Carolina as well, but at the same time, they didn't show up afterwards.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I asked the question because other than the fifth goal, which was a really, I think he just missed the fact that there was a pass across the rink because he was just completely off his marks. I couldn't think of any particular goal that I would have had fallen completely on his shoulders. Yes, I mean, 5 goals against is 5 goals against. Doesn't matter how they get them. You want less goals in. We've been seeing the same issues. They were not clearing the front of the net, and the first goal went in because he could not see the shot. There was like 5 bodies in front.
yeah,
I know one of the goals was just tic-tac-toe. I believe that one was Shane Gostisbehere's goal where they're just moving across and there was nobody blocking those passes. Not putting that on Ned. I know there was one that was a little bit weaker on I think it was the Eric Robinson goal where he went 5-hole.
yeah, that one,
That
was,
one's the one that I probably want back from Ned.
and the Carrier one that was essentially the game winner. I mean, he had stopped that originally. It was just Carrier just going into the net, finding a loose puck
Yeah.
to stab it in.
And I know we had Sharks around the net that also didn't clear it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that one is, maybe you want that back, but how often do you see those kinds of shots in the NHL where it's placed in a hard place and it's just, you got to get your defense there to get it out before the offense gets it in.
It's about helping each other out and helping and supporting each other in the long run, because that's, this is a team game. You just can't, depend on one person. As we've seen, kind of going back to our conversation with Celebrini, you can't have him expect him to do everything. You need support from everyone.
Yeah.
So, you definitely have looking at a lot of this going on, a lot of anger in here, and looking at Double A sports. What angers me is how Warsaw has this crazy loyalty to these crap veterans, and when they play awful, especially on defense, he says the young kids need to develop and learn. It screams to need to fire him. I don't think it's a need to fire him. I think these are where they're hoping the veterans kind of lead the way, and I think in the sense for Tyler Toffoli, that's the guy that has been. But you're hoping for these guys that are here, their veteran presence, not just teach, but also shine. So when the trade deadline comes, you can make a move on some of these guys to build up your stock and to go over there. Just not happening, and so you can't put it on. Can't put it on just one, so
And I think the Warsaw's you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, if Warsaw was out here playing only the young guys, and he was, if Nick Leddy hadn't even played a game yet, and we were still losing, we'd be shouting that he needs to be fired because oh, the young guys aren't ready yet. We need to put in
Why
the
are we
vet.
playing Letty? It's yeah. I mean,
It's you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Because the fact of the matter is, the Sharks' defense is weak across the board.
oh, AJ's having fun with the cliches. That was a good one, my friend. Somewhere their heart in sleeve. Meanwhile, I choose to wear my kidney on my shoe. Yes, well. Jerry F. Also on October 11th, 2014, there was no captain, but several A's on that team. Just an observation. Oh,
Nobody
boy.
likes all A's. That is a decision I'm not going to defend. Just
Yeah.
give somebody the C. I don't care if it's Celebrini. I don't care if it's Toffoli. Give it to Eklund for what I care. Just give somebody the C.
Yeah. No, completely agree on there. I don't know why we're talking former Ducks and coaches that are available, but
Oh, I think I saw somebody mentioning, some coach was available, and people were laughing at that. And then since then, they've been naming a bunch of coaches that are
fun.
available.
Fun. Yeah. So
But
So
yeah.
Sharks lose 5-1. They go to 0-1-2 now, and I know we're a weekend, and it's just sticking with it is going to have a tough time. But now the Sharks are 7th in the wild card, and yes, they're only 2 points out of a wild card because it's so early in the season. But they are the only team in the West without a victory to go along with the Eastern Conference New York Islanders. Hi, Kim. Hope you're well. And the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, dear Lord. I mean, and Buffalo is just a nightmare where they've only scored 2 goals this season
Yeah,
already.
I don't even know how many goals against they have at this point.
They have a 10. They have
They're at
a
10.
goal differential of -8. The Sharks with this game now go to -6, although they have 10 goals for as opposed to what Buffalo has allowed 10th. So
Yeah, I do want to temper all the anger that we rightfully have. We should be at least 1-1-1, if not 2-1-0.
right.
But we are 3 games into the season. The thing that we were worried about is to be worried about.
Yes.
But we are producing offense against almost every team. Yes, we didn't produce offense today, but
No.
that has so far been the outlier this season.
No, and the other part too, and I know people are going to get ad nauseum from this, but this is now a 14-game winless streak. With it being 0-1-2, you also add on the what finished up last year, where the last one was against Toronto, and it's just it's frustrating because you can see what they're doing, especially in those first 2 games. You could see where these guys were at, and the passion and that, and just building up and playing with confidence. Doing the right things and just getting in the way of block shots and everything. It just could not do.
And I believe that they won today. But also something else that we need to keep in mind, because I know a lot of people are now talking about Buffalo and their failure to rebuild and where we are in our rebuild. Compare ourselves to where the Blackhawks are.
Yep.
For those of you in chat, I know some will probably disagree and say, where everybody is. But we got to compare ourselves to other rebuilding teams and where they are. We were pretty much at the exact same point as the Blackhawks were. But do you feel more confident about where they are or where we are right now?
I think a lot of people felt confident where the Sharks are. And when you saw, I think I saw something on NHL Tonight, or the NHL Network at least, where they were saying, "Hey, would you take the Sharks or the Ducks?" Young core, and a lot of people are saying Sharks, and they're also
Yeah,
saying Sharks for the against Chicago.
yeah. And yeah, these are young guys. They're going to have growing pains. It's going to be a painful season. I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
It's okay. They get better. But I feel like hitting the panic button is actually going to do worse for their development than it's going to do better.
Well, I mean, but this team can't afford to go 0 for October
That's
again,
very true. We
or
want a win.
I mean,
I don't
that
care
would
who
be
it
just a
comes from.
nightmare. Yeah, I mean, the first win came against Utah, so last year, I would think it'd be great to have it come against Utah on Friday. Would be nice. Um, however, Pittsburgh is playing well at 2-2 on Saturday, so we'll see. But Utah, I mean, that was one team that you were talking about. Hey, they have a shot at surprising a lot of people in the Central. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I know that I'm bringing up the upcoming schedule now, but I know there's a couple of games where we have legitimate opportunities against these teams for various reasons of they're going towards their own rebuilds or they're in the middle of a rebuild. We got the Mammoth, we got the Penguins, and we got the Islanders. And I know the Mammoth I'm pretty high on. But the other two, I think we have really good chances against. We match up well against their defensive core with our defensive core, especially in terms of Penguins. Their defense is pretty similar to ours, where it's one of their weaknesses.
Yeah.
So
Nope. Getting some other comments from the local writers. Max Miller, thank you very much. Misa on Warsofsky's message during the Sharks timeout. We have to wake up a little bit. I think we were constantly in our zone. I was just trying to flip the script, get the puck out into their zone, create some sort of plays.
yeah.
So Felix, thank you for getting that as well. There was another one that I saw, but and AJ, of course, saying, I'd be fine with the Blackhawks record if the Sharks had won 3 cups in 6 seasons. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, that's not like it's on Greer Warsofsky.
No, but I mean, I think what AJ's trying to say is it'd be easier to accept a rebuild if you had already won the cup.
Yeah. No, I know. I
And-
100% agree.
Yeah.
Even one cup.
Just one.
We'd have taken one.
Don't get me going. Oh my God. Yeah. So, there was a poll question in here. So thank you to all those who participated. Do the Sharks win more than one game in October? And 53% of you said yes. 47% said no. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean,
I fall solidly in that win column or that yes column. I think we're going to get more than one win by the end of October.
I would hope so. I mean, they were so close getting to 2. That
Yeah,
would have to-
you're absolutely right. We were so close to getting 2.
yeah. And so you look at what's coming up for the Sharks, and as we said, Utah on Friday. That's an ESPN Plus game, so no usual post game. So you come find us on Friday night for that. Saturday, home to Pittsburgh before they head out on the road to take on the Islanders, who are winless. So somebody's winless streak is going to end on next Tuesday. The Rangers at New Jersey, and then at Minnesota before they come home on the 28th against LA. Definitely winnable games there. They played New Jersey very well last year. I would think they can do the same as well. Although the Devils are off to a decent start, so
Yeah. Well, and also if we want to, bring up records for teams, we also faced now one of only 2 undefeated teams so far this season.
yay! Yes, Carolina goes to 3-0.
And Dallas also won today, if I remember correctly.
Yay! Great.
Hey, at least we don't face Dallas for a little while. We don't get the hot
Thank
hand.
goodness. Thank goodness. All right. Well, on that note, I think we shall wrap things up. This is the good part about the 7 p.m. games where you actually get out of here at a decent time. So, in case
Excuse me.
says Tyler, who's currently at 1:35 in the morning. Yes, I know, I know. In case you missed anything or want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or wherever you get your podcast. The audio version will be up shortly this evening. But most importantly, if you are watching us on the YouTube channel, thank you very much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when we do go on after every single Sharks game. We appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely check out TikTok. I have been doing a little bit of a thing called Teal Town After Breakfast. Just a little morning or mid-morning recap, depending on work. I can't do these things in my car because I'd be killed for bad audio. So check that out as well. Tyler, your final thoughts on this evening?
My final thought is that Felix is really wanting to stay on screen.
Felix? Let's see.
Felix, if you wanted to be on the podcast, you should have just showed up. I mean, we would have had you. No, but for this team, I'm seeing a mixed reception for what the defense is. There are parts that I like about when we are established in the defensive zone, but some of the players are saying it. Warsofsky's saying it. There's players out there that need to skate.
Yep.
And I think that is where we are failing most on defense is teams are just outworking us right now. And I don't think that's down to the new players. I think that is a bit of a systemic issue currently, but also I'm seeing a lot of issues with some of the vets that we've picked up of, especially if you want to stay in the NHL, not just this year, but next year, you're going to have to prove that you can play, buddies.
Absolutely. So my final thought is it's going to take heart. It's going to take hustle. You can't be sitting idly. You got to keep chomping and don't let up. So we'll be back with you Friday following Sharks and Mammoth. That's a 6 p.m. start Pacific time. We'll be back on after the game for that one. For Tyler, I am Eric. Thanks for watching. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you on Friday following Sharks and Mammoth. Good night, everyone.